Africa, when you look at the world, not just Africa, because people continue to ask me, why do I talk about the African Women Congress? Why do we talk about the African Women Commission? When in actual fact, there is also other part of the world where women are still, the status of women is still very much down. And my response is, I am an African woman. But the work I do is not for Africa alone. I use Africa because I believe as an African woman that my charity must begin at home. And when you look at the suffering, when you look at the lies, the insecurity, the death, the disempowerment of the women, although the women, as we continue to say, even in our culture, in the African culture, the mother supports the father, and the mother is the beacon, the backbone of the family. There's hardly anyone, man or woman, in Africa who will say that a mother has not been the major influence in their upbringing, in their education. The mother is the authority, if you like. But as I say, by our culture, the man is the head of his home. And if you look at it, you will also find that the man traditionally does not take decisions without asking his wife. Although the wife is not, you will not hear her voice in the public. Yes, but the man, as I was reminded, because I just come back from Cote d'Ivoire, I've just come back from a tour of West Africa, and in fact in January, February, I was in Africa. I was touring Africa, taking this message to Africa, and I was saying that the time has come for Africans. We are Africans, and our Africa that we have today is not the Africa that we grew up to know. And what should have happened is that Africa should have been allowed to develop at our own pace, in our own tradition. We should have been able to bring, as I say, we're looking at the interview I gave for the last the International Women's Day, when we talked about the role of women in the bringing up, and of course we talked about the young people. When you see it, the future of our world, the future of our Africa, the future of the universe actually now rests very heavily on the shoulders of the young. And therefore, that is why it's important, and I'm anxious to see how we can create the African Women Commission, the recognition of women. We've lost our voices. As I said to the First Lady of Sierra Leone, that when we lost our status, when untimely globalization hit us, because they say we now live in a global world. If you live in a global world, why do you send aid to Africa? Because if we live in a global world, we can sit at the UN, round the table to make decisions, then we should be able to sit round that table as equals. Not you propping me up so that I can sit round the table with you. We're not sitting round the table as equals. We are sitting in a status of where you are the boss because you gave me money, and I'm now your servant. You are the small person, but I need you to make the decision. So I told them in Cote d'Ivoire, when I was asking, of course, the Congress we hold on the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th of July, 2015 in Cote d'Ivoire. Next year.
Right.
2015.
Is that going to be the first one?
It's going to be the first one. It's going to be the historic
The inaugural
one.
Yes.
And that is the back-breaking one, the groundbreaking event that will create the African Women Commission. You create the African Women Commission, it becomes a body that will represent civil society structured, and is going to represent, it's going to give a voice, an international voice, to African women to speak on issues that affect women and affect Africa and in our global world. This is why the international office is going to be situated in New York, as I told them, in Cote d'Ivoire, and then I was told, but why would the the international office be in New York. In 50 years' time, would African women not have lost it? And I said no. Because although it's going to be situated in New York, it's still going to be the international office of African women. And this is going to represent women worldwide. And again, include the Caribbeans. So in fact, I'm now reaching out to the Caribbeans, that because they too they are also Africans in the diaspora, and they need to return, because Africans, their ancestors were forcibly removed from Africa, and the descendants have not been able to return to Africa. So obviously this is also going to be an event that is going to symbolically welcome home the descendants of Africans that were taken during the slave time.
So it's something to do with people of African origin, not necessarily people that are Africans today.
That is correct.
Okay.
It's going to be Africans people of Africa descent.
Right.
They are Africans. So Africans on the ground. And women, if you look, women are kind of, we are saying African women because the word says gender balancing. When you talk about gender balancing, you have the father, you have the mother, then you have the children. You cannot have a father without a mother. You must have. So what we're looking for is gender balancing, and in that gender balancing, the African woman has been the one who has been put down. As I said to them in Cote d'Ivoire, the woman, because even they said that yes, Alice Ukoko, Madame Ukoko, African men have really always recognized the African women. That the controversy that has always waged has been between the African woman and the African woman. The women are fighting amongst themselves. There is no need. For us, they said, the men, if you come and you ask an African man an issue, he will tell you, okay, I have heard you. I will come back to you. That gives the man the opportunity to go back and discuss with the wife. And it is the wife that then comes back. When the wife said, yes, this is how I see it, he comes back with the woman's decision, but of course he will present it as his own, because that's how it's supposed to be. Now, when you then look at Africa today, because the role of the woman, the status of the woman, the traditional role of woman has now been bankrupted, they've removed us, you now find that the decisions of our men in government places does not actually reflect the African decision. So therefore, the African Women Congress that will be holding next 2015 in Cote d'Ivoire is going to now give us the opportunity to wake back, to bring back the role of the status, restore the status of women. And hopefully that is going to be a time where Africa's recovery will now be talking about Africa's recovery. And the men will then be able to support our men proper, so that the decisions they make will reflect the decision that is good for all. Again, I talk about the redefinition of gender, because I do not think that it's all women that are actually taking their place and acting as the divine expect the woman to stand. The woman has the authority, the divine authority, to make the change, because we are the one that is down. We need to come up, balance. Some think is to replace the man. No, the woman is not to replace the man. The woman is to replace is to stand at the side of the woman and bring about gender balance. And that is the work that we're doing. And they were happy. A lot of them in Cote d'Ivoire, in fact, they are saying they want to adopt Alice Ukoko, and the message is not for women, but it's for Africa as a whole, and they are very grateful.
But Africa is making, I think, strides in gender balancing. If you look at it, I mean, we have you've got Joyce Banda for one, you've got Salif Johnson, you've got the head of the United Nations, Dlamini, I can't really say her name.
That is very true, but
Eritrea and Rwanda, they've got about 60,
over 50%.
Right. So
yes, but the saying,
and even in Senegal as well, the Prime Minister,
and even in the Central African Republic, we now have a woman there.
Yeah.
But you will find that the issue of gender, when you talk about the restoration of the status of women, we're not talking about the women in political offices. So therefore, the African Women Commission is not a political creation. Okay. It's a civil society creation. Because the status and the balancing of gender in Africa, the world, in fact, is not a political issue. If you look, as I said to the UN woman, I said, it's not about how many women we have in political office. That's what we're saying, that we're going to redefine gender. Because, and it's not only women as in the women, as in me, as a woman, as a female person.
So it's not like an affirmative action.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's not. It's just people. We're talking about peace. We're talking about development. We're talking about sustainable political progress. We're talking about good governance. We're talking about the protection of rights, the recognition of women as members of the human race. We saw the Eurovision Song Contest, what they're talking about, the drag queen, and he's talking about equality, and he's talking about the right of people to be the people they want to be. Now, if the gay lobby was so powerful, why can we not make the woman lobby, the gender lobby, the sustainable peace lobby, the development lobby, the recognition of women as member of the human race, as powerful as the gay lobby which we saw? The reason is we continue to hold ourselves back. And as I said to the woman the UN woman, is South African, they told me she's South African. I said yes, but in South Africa 2012 alone, there were reported cases of rape. I think 62,000 reported cases of rape alone. And of all the reported cases in South Africa alone, in 1 year, if you have 62,000 reported cases, you will know that double that number actually took place. Now, of the 62,000, how many where you were able to convict the perpetrator? It never happened, because the women themselves, the woman our recognition of ourselves, the mutual respect to know that the woman is the mother, and the mother, there is nowhere in history, and I say this all the time, the African son must never rape her mother. It's a taboo, and if you do that, you will never find peace. So we need the body that then pull together and say, sorry, we need our voice. We need to be able to say, to be part of what is going to be. And the issue is not about gender as man and woman, but that's why we say we're going to redefine gender. Because there are women who really are more harmful to humanity. And there are men who love peace. They are quiet. They love. They respect women. They respect humanity. Those ones, in my definition, are also the feminine energy. So we have the feminine energy and the masculine energy. So the women who are tough, they are strong, they are the worst part of men. They are not women in terms of gender equality. These are people who are using the masculine energy to achieve for themselves what the men also continue. And many will tell you that if you have a female boss, you are not lucky. You are sometimes better off to have a male boss, because it is the energy that we're talking about. It is not the body. Because women love peace. There are those who say, yes, the Pan-Africanists, the women, we must carry arms. I say, sorry. Women is unity. Women is peace. So if you're a woman and you're talking about carrying guns and carrying things, you are operating with the masculine energy.
Okay. Where does the Women of Africa fit into the African Women's Commission?
The Women of Africa is a vehicle that is driving and facilitating the creation of the African Women Commission. And after the creation of African Women Commission, Women of Africa will pull back, because it's only a vehicle that is running it. And the Women of Africa will pull back, maybe take us, I don't know what the women want to do with Women of Africa as a registered charity later, as the NGO later. But for now, the women of Africa is the vehicle that we are using to drive the creation of the African Women Commission.
So from 2015, then it probably wouldn't exist in the same form.
Not in the same form. It will become the African Women Commission. So already, and again, one of the things, and it's not going to be just for women, African women alone, because one of the things we're doing now is actually strengthening the board of trustee of women of Africa as we move towards the end, if you like. And the 2 members are English women. Then people
of the women of
board of trustee of women of Africa.
Okay.
They are white women.
How is the commission going to be set up?
When what the commission will do, the commission will be very much like what we have the EU at the moment, with the international office put in New York. Right. As I was saying to the First Lady of Sierra Leone, I said, well, African women can globalize. We're not saying because we are traditionally at home and we are traditionally feeding the children and keeping our communities. What we are also saying, we live in a global world. Therefore, the African women can also globalize. So when we globalize, the representatives, the executive of the international body will be the ones that will be at the top, but at the very bottom, because we have regional offices. The regional, for instance, Côte d'Ivoire will be hosting the first one. Therefore, Côte d'Ivoire will have the first right to host the regional office of the African Women Commission for West Africa.
Okay.
Yes, because the Congress is going to hold in Côte d'Ivoire.
But wouldn't it be, I know you've already said something and answered this a bit, wouldn't it be better for the international head office to be in Addis Ababa, which is where we as Africans use as the base of most of our organizations?
If we are
and
saying,
because it's African too.
Yes, but if we are saying, of course, they can have an office in Addis Ababa, but it will not be the international office. Because I think the difference that what we are saying here is that we are talking about the globalization of Africa's women. That's what we are saying. Now, if we are saying that, therefore, we are talking about the African Women Commission's office, international office, that should be in New York, because that's where the United Nations is. And we can also have an office in Geneva, depending on what happens. We don't know yet, because we have not turned attention to the creation of and the structure. But we know that the structure is very much as it is when we talk about the rotation of the presidency. Is going to international presidency is going to rotate amongst the regions, and the government, the countries will also have their offices. Then, of course, grassroots, because the communication line of communication is going to go from grassroots to regional to international. And therefore, wherever, some people say, why can't we not have the international office in London? I said, no, because London is not the home for the United Nations. New York is the home for the United Nations. I've never been to New York, but I know that the New York, knowing from my heart that the international office is to be in New York. The commission will be created during the Congress, and also
This is the African Women's Congress.
The African Women Congress that we hold. So the Congress itself is like is the vehicle and the forum to create, in which to create the commission. But people say, well, why do you have to hold a Congress? Why do you not just create the commission? No, the commission is the creation of the women. If the commission is the creation of the women, the Congress is the forum that gives the women the platform in which to create the commission.
So how can people find out more information about the Congress?
Well, you can either get in touch with us now, because already people are...
And Women of Africa.
Women of Africa. Because Women of Africa is facilitating the Congress. Now, sorry, the Commission. Yes? So we are facilitating the Congress to create the Commission. And therefore, what people were also waiting to create the Congress website, where there will be information about we actually showcase our ways Côte d'Ivoire to the international level as the host of this historic Congress and creation for African women, because it's women worldwide, And we hope that Asians will also be able, the model that will come out of this will also be used by others, like Asian women. In fact, people have asked me, why can I not just also add Asia to it? I say, well, the Asians, for me, my mandate is to do Africa.
Right.
Yes. And then once this is done, we will then encourage other women to follow suit. So I also have the Asian Commission. Yes. So they themselves, we are hoping that that will also enable the European women. It's a worldwide thing. Gender thing is a universal. So in actual fact, my thing. So to ask, we are waiting. We're going to be creating the person who's going to. We're going to showcase Côte d'Ivoire. We're going to bring what Côte d'Ivoire is. Those who want to invest in Côte d'Ivoire can also be connecting with us, Women of Africa. We've just now completed what we call the OCOM, which is the African Women Congress and Commission pitch, which we can send out to corporate bodies that are interested in Africa and in women. This is going to be the first time that people can work using a structured body, not just to say, yes, I invest in women, I help with the small loan, microfinance, and that's stereotyping. And I say, why every time somebody talk about women empowerment, they remember microfinance. Are you telling me that it's microfinance that educated me or educate other people? We are members of the human race, and therefore we should be seen as part of the human race. Not to, when I talk about empowerment, you remind me of microfinance. So therefore, when I was in Côte d'Ivoire, I went to the market and I asked the women what they think about microfinance. And they told me, we cannot take microfinance because we are not sure we'll be able to pay back. But I said, okay, but how do you get the money to finance your market? And they said to me, the women in the village will bring the food, they sell, and they return the money. He said, they know about microfinance, but we can't take it. African women are very cautious because they know if I take the finance, it's not free. It's a loan that I'm supposed to pay back. If I cannot pay it back, then I become a debtor and it will make my position worse. This is what makes the woman very unique, because the woman thinks beyond. The men do too. And the women support the men, and they know. I was in Nigeria, and one woman said, you see, my husband, he go make trouble. He make trouble. Now they don't go, he motor go kill somebody. They say, make he come pay 50-something thousand naira. Now this Gardiner when they sell so now go take pay. So the women are very careful, and the women take their responsibility very seriously. That is why we believe that anybody who is able, organizations, companies, even governments, because this Congress is going to create the opportunity for the whole of the world to come round to witness women discussing their challenges and creating and putting in place the solution to Africans' problems. And of course, the gender balancing. Those who have the sense of social responsibility, this is the time to come. And people can contact us. But when the Congress website is ready, everything about immigration and how people can attain will be there. How much, what airlines, especially we call on the airlines to support this initiative so that we can also help to showcase them, sponsor people to go across.
Anyone can go.
Anyone can go.
It's open to everybody
to go, because this is history being made. Some people like to be part of history. Other people are waiting to read history. Doesn't matter what they are told, but if you are part of history, I think it's a good thing. So
do you have like where people, because now you're still in the inception stage, you're still forming it?
No, we're not. We're not forming it. Women of Africa has been going.
No, not the Women of Africa. I'm talking about the Congress
itself.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Commission.
The Commission.
Yes.
So if people want to get more information, like maybe can they subscribe to somewhere where you can send them information when it's available?
Yes, and in fact, there is the sickle cell. There's a sickle cell Africa event. Foundation. This is, I think they are based in Lagos. They've already said they want to attend the Congress because they want to raise the awareness about sickle cell, and also, therefore, they want to be participants in the health awareness arm of the Commission, because the Commission will have many. They'll be able to work. We will have a committee, if you like, the committee that work with good governance. Those will be talking about democracy. How do we engage our grassroots? We're talking about the electoral structure and how we can make things. This is going to be the first and perfect opportunity for us to help grassroots to link in with the electoral system. Those women who want to come into politics, they will have a good platform that will support them, that will help them, because it's going to also be mentoring thing. We're now saying if you want to go into politics, what you need to be doing is working. Because right now, there are those who say they represent women in political parties that in fact don't represent women. I was told 1998, well, before the creation of PDP in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, we're meeting there. And the woman was telling me, why do you push for women? Why you're already known? Why don't you just come and run for yourself? Why do I say no? If you don't, you are a woman. You say you are in politics. You represent 13% of women or the 9% or whatever they are, and women are not your constituents. The women are your constituents. You should be worrying about the women. And I say, sorry, no. I want to be said, but if you follow the women, this one will tell you are following their husband. They are there for themselves, but they say they are women. And this is why we say that the judge cannot be the perimeter for judging whether we have gender involvement should not be by the number of people in political offices. Leave it. Let women come and contest, but allow them to contest. Not the one where you be breaking their head and fighting and you bring money in, you use them as your sex thing because you want to help them to get into politics. None of that should happen. The African Women Commission will see to it that women will be educated. Women will push for education. Women will push for their rights. We're going to work to end poverty. We're going to work to restore the status of women, that you don't see the woman only as a sex symbol, somebody you play with. This is why we are very angry with what is going on in Kenya. When Kenya did the parliament passed the bill for polygamy, we immediately got into action. We put out a press release to say, sorry, this is 200 years backward. If your father wanted, Jomo Kenyatta wanted to legalize polygamy, which is a traditional economic construct of over 200 years ago, he would have done it in his time. And that's your grandfather. When your grandson begin to pass a polygamy law in the 21st century, it means you are marching backward. You are not going forward.
So these are the kind of things that the commission will be doing.
Yes. The commission will be the one that will challenge gender stigmatization, inequality across the world. So it gives the commission will be the platform. So obviously, for now, Women of Africa, we are running it because we are still trying to show what the act is about to do. And of course, we began to lobby. There was a big lobbying of saying, look, the president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, do not sign the bill. Because if you sign the bill, you are waging war against the women. And it still went on. 2 weeks ago, he signed the bill. He signed the bill to say we now have a polygamy thing. So hopefully, if it's easy for the Chibok case, we would have been looking at we were going to challenge that in international court of human rights. And
so but that's still pending. You're still going to challenge that.
We're still going to challenge it. In fact, we're making it. Just our attention right now is very much on the girls. As we said, it's a global thing. So there is no way you are going to be able to say you want to represent women, and then you can see insecurity. And it's not only women we represent. We are saying we want peace. We want peace. We want the fear. Sense of insecurity is an abuse of human rights. We want to address the rights of people. We want our men to feel safe to be our husbands. We want our sons to feel safe as they go about learning to be the future father in Africa. These are the things we're working on. So obviously we're still going to challenge the polygamy law in Kenya to say if we allow it to happen, that means we have lost and we will not lose. Let's take it in the 21st century to the Court of Human Rights and say, if you say it's all right for a man to abuse me, then you will take responsibility for the abuse, similar to what's going on in Nigeria. If you, as a president, you cannot protect create an environment that create the sense of jobs, sense of humanity, sense of security in your citizens, you have failed. You have no right to be in political office. We say it in Nigeria, we're saying it in Kenya. And anywhere